If you want to know how to set up C-Log 2 on the Canon R6V, this video is for you. C-Log 2 is Canon's best log profile, providing the most dynamic range, 16 plus stops, and the most flexibility to color grade. So I'll show you how to enable C-Log 2, the best exposure settings, and the easiest and quickest way to color grade it in post-production. Let's get right into it. First, we want to make sure our camera is in video mode. You're going to set the mode dial to manual and then turn it on. From here, we're going to hit the menu button and we're going to make sure we're in the red camera menu here, but we'll head to page 4 where you'll see color, tone, and dynamic range. Here, we're going to select color mode. We'll go to custom picture and instead of hitting OK, we'll hit info. Now we'll select CP file and we're going to want to select C2 Canon Log 2. Now if you want to further customize C-Log 2, here's the settings I use. We'll go to edit CP file, we'll head to protect and we're going to set this to unprotect. Then we're going to go down to color matrix and set this to production camera. Here we can actually upload our LUTs. If you want to learn how to upload LUTs to the R6V, check out my video on that here. We'll keep scrolling down till we get to noise reduction. I like to turn this automatic to off and set the spatial filter to 4 and the frame correlation to 2. This is a recommendation I got from Gerald Undone, who did a great breakdown of this noise reduction setting, and these are the best settings that I found. Now we'll hit menu to exit out of here. And we've successfully enabled C-Log 2. Now let's go over the exposure assist tools and how to interpret them for proper exposure. Back in the menu, we'll stay in the red camera menu and we'll head to page 8 where we'll see assist shooting. We'll go to HDR C-Log View Assist and here we can enable on BT709 during CP. I set this to the LCD, and if you're using an external monitor, you can set it for the HDMI as well. Now you'll see that our footage will play back with a 709 look instead of looking that log footage. Now let's set the zebra settings for proper exposure. Go back into the menu, and now on that same page, scroll down to zebra settings. We're going to go to zebra 1. And for light skin tones, I set this to 50 plus or minus 5%. If you're shooting with dark skin tones, you can actually set this to 40 plus or minus 5%. I will set this to 50 plus or minus 5% for now. And then we'll go down to Zebra 2, and we're going to set that to 85%. So really quick, what I'm doing here is setting Zebra 1 to check exposure for skin tones, and then Zebra 2 to set exposure for overexposure when things are clipping. Now when we go to zebra pattern, you can enable either pattern 1 if you're checking skin exposures or zebra 2 if you want to see if anything's overexposed. You can set zebra 1 and 2, but I do find that makes the screen a little too hard to read because you have so many zebra patterns showing all over your screen. So when you're exposing a subject, set this to zebra 1 and enable zebras. Now with zebra 1 enabled, you're just going to check the bright side of your subject's face. And you want that zebra pattern to appear there. And that's how you'll know you have proper exposure. On the R6V, you have a default hotkey on the back with the D-pad. It is actually up. And that'll enable and disable zebra. However, if you want to switch from zebra 1 and 2, you do have to go back into the menu and do that manually here. And Zebra 2, with it enabled, you'll just see it on parts of your scene that are overexposed. My rule of thumb is if it's too bright for your eyes, so like light sources, the sun, or strong reflections on like cars and things like that, then it's totally okay for those parts to be overexposed. Otherwise, I do try to remove as much overexposed parts of the image as I possibly can, typically with a VND or other exposure settings. Finally, let's talk about false color. In that same page, we can go to false color settings and let's check the index so you can get familiar. Red is for where white is clipping, so this is your overexposure. Yellow is just below that, so this is your warning that you're about to overexpose. And then you have pink, which shows you one stop over 18% gray. Green shows you 18% gray. Blue is just above black clipping, and purple is where black is clipping. So the way I break this down is you have red and yellow to check for overexposure, blue and purple to check underexposure, and pink and green to check your midtones. With this enabled, you'll see how the screen turn into a bunch of colors. When you're exposing people, you just want pink and bright gray to show up on the bright side of your subject's face for light skin tones. If you're shooting someone with dark skin tones, you just want a little bit of green to show up on the brightest parts of their face. Otherwise, if you're just avoiding clipping, you just want to make sure there's no red or purple in your scene. I follow that same exact rule of thumb. If it's too bright or if it's a light source, I'm okay with it being overexposed. Otherwise, I will turn it down. Now, in C-Log2, your base ISO setting is 800, and you technically have a second base at 6400, which is great for low light shooting. But you'll see if I go below 800 here, you'll get an L on your screen. This is okay if you want to get more shadow detail, but you'll lose dynamic range in the highlights. So for most people, you really are just going to live at 800 and raise as needed when you're in low light environments. Finally, let's talk about converting the C-Log2 footage to a final graded image the fastest way possible. First, we have to download C-Log2 LUTs from Canon's website. So go to the Canon R6V product page. We're going to scroll down and select support. In there, we'll select software and drivers. We'll scroll down again to software and drivers. And here we can hit download of these three folders: Canon 3D LUT for CMT, Canon Lookup Table, and Canon 3D LUT for Canon 709. If you want to manually color grade your footage, you will use the CMT file. But if you just want to not even worry about it and just get a really nice color graded image out of this camera, you'll use the Canon 709 LUT. Now here's the easiest way to apply it over all of your footage at once in Premiere Pro. In Premiere Pro, we're going to create an adjustment layer by going over here and selecting adjustment layer. We'll add that to our timeline with our clips. Then we'll select it and go to the effect controls. We'll then select source, and in here we're going to add the lumetri color. Once again, if you're going to do color grading yourself or send this to a colorist, use the CMT 709 file. Otherwise, use the Canon 709 file for a graded image immediately. Now you can adjust this adjustment layer to go over all of your C-Log2 clips, and you'll see it's converted all of them. If you need to make any adjustments, you want to do it on the clip level. So that means you'll now select the clip, and if it's too bright, you can bring the exposure down. If you want to add more contrast, you can do that here, etc. But there you have it. That is how you take full advantage of C-Log2 on the Canon R6V. If you still have any questions about the R6V or shooting in C-Log2, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to make a video on it. I'll be working on the cinematic video guide for the R6V, where I'll break down more in detail all the settings you need to really master this camera and take full advantage of it. So if you don't want to miss that, hit that like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this camera guide, you can check out my camera guide for the Canon C50 here. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. I appreciate every single one of you who do, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.